Some thoughts on working with youth. Framing and summary of experience. Historical context. Beginning in the second five-year plan, 2006 to 2011, the San Diego Learning Site and its associated clusters were learning how to sustain a basic junior youth program with some 50 to 100 participants. By the subsequent plan, 2011 to 2016, it became clear that continued growth of the program would not be possible without significantly strengthening the capacities associated with working with an increasing number of youth. Over time, the region came to appreciate that working with youth requires a great deal of dedication and that a vibrant junior youth program has been helpful in providing a context in which youth can be connected quickly to service. Prior to 2018, we would take youth through Book 1 and then skip to Book 5 so that they could animate quickly. Although this seldom provided lasting results, at the time it was difficult for us to understand how youth could study Books 1 through 4 before they began animating and sustain their motivation to continue on the path of service. In 2018, many of the experienced animators were asked to form a new junior youth group and to bring along a few youth to help them with their groups while they tutored them in the main sequence. The hope was that, among other things, this would help to ensure that youth could progress sequentially through the sequence of courses while being connected to service quickly by animating alongside an experienced animator. The region's first efforts with this approach yielded promising fruits. The junior youth program and the youth movement were moving forward in tandem, avoiding the tendency to drop one imperative to tend to the other. But many of the experienced animators struggled to hold a high-quality junior youth group, while also single-handedly ensuring that the youth that were animating with them continued through the main sequence. Some of the youth that began animating alongside the experienced animators were eager to take on the responsibility of animating a group, but for others this proved to be too big of a step and, at times, this would create undue pressure that strained relationships. The friends continued to refine their efforts, and what has emerged is a way of thinking and acting that has shown great promise for the work with youth. Although many factors have contributed, there are several worth noting. 1. A growing appreciation that building capacity for service happens in the context of helping souls draw closer to Baha'u'llah. 2. A pattern of action, consultation, and reflection in the nucleus that views the process as an integrated whole and fosters a strengthening environment of mutual support. 3. A growing pool of tutors who are tending to increasing the quality of the institute process. 4. Learning to have ongoing conversations with youth on spiritual themes with a sufficient level of depth and frequency. 5. A vibrant, resilient junior youth program or children's class program that provides youth with a wide arena in which to serve. And 6. Strengthening the work with families. Framing from the guidance. The Universal House of Justice has described the work within neighborhoods in the following way. A pattern of action that is able to embrace large numbers comes chiefly from working to bring more neighborhoods and villages, places where the convergence of spiritual forces is effecting rapid change within a body of people, to the point where they can sustain intense activity. A core of individuals from within each is assuming responsibility for the process of building capacity in its inhabitants. A broader cross-section of the population is being engaged in conversations, and activities are being opened up to whole groups at once, bands of friends and neighbors, troops of youth, entire families, enabling them to realize how society around them can be refashioned. The practice of gathering for collective worship, sometimes for dawn prayers, nurtures within all a much deeper connection with the revelation of Baha'u'llah. Prevailing habits, customs, and modes of expression all become susceptible to change, outward manifestations of an even more profound inner transformation, affecting many souls. The ties that bind them together grow more affectionate. Qualities of mutual support, reciprocity, and service to one another begin to stand out as features of an emerging, vibrant culture among those involved in activities. The friends in such locations help the cluster agencies extend the growth process to different parts of the cluster, for they are eager to introduce others to the vision of transformation they have themselves already glimpsed. As we well know, the Junior Youth Program has played an important role in moving the entire growth process forward in the neighborhood. With this in mind, it has been helpful to articulate some elements of the path of a neighborhood to begin to work with some 50 junior youth. In general, this path follows what has been outlined by the International Teaching Center in its May 3, 2018 message. Experience suggests that, to establish a center of intense activity in an urban neighborhood, selecting a suitable area where conditions are favorable for a long-term process of community building and committing to its development are critical. The receptivity of the population is discovered through visits and interactions with local residents. Once the neighborhood is identified, often a team of 2 or 3 friends who are imbued with a strong sense of mission is encouraged to settle with a long-term dedication to becoming one with the population and to raising up and accompanying an expanding nucleus of individuals. In many cases, an auxiliary board member works closely with this team. The path that has proved effective in neighborhoods where the process is well advanced is to establish the rhythm and pattern of expansion, training, and accompanying with an initial vision of seeing some tens of young people serving as animators, teachers, and in some cases as tutors, and to work systematically with families whose children and youth are engaged in each stage of the educational process. To find the first cohort of local youth, the team reads the reality of the neighborhood carefully and strives to understand details about the population, including the number of households, youth, junior youth, and children, as well as the patterns of life and the social structures present. As the process thus unfolds, a band of local friends joins the initial team. Their capabilities develop progressively as they study institute courses and carry out more and more complex acts of service. Gradually, as they are assisted to plan systematically, study relevant guidance, and reflect on their action, they develop a deeper sense of ownership of the growth process and an ardent desire to see it encompass the entire population. The educational activities in the neighborhood become more systematized when a suitable facility is rented or acquired, allowing the nucleus of friends to meet daily and institute activities to run regularly. Furthermore, unless a system is established by which children and junior youth are retained in children's classes grade after grade and in the junior youth program from one level to another, the faith cannot permeate deeply into the soil of the neighborhood. If such formalization is achieved, engagement in these foundational activities becomes so embedded in the culture of the population that it is viewed as an indispensable aspect of the life of a two community. As the pattern of action and the process of learning established in one neighborhood are extended by the friends to other neighborhoods, the entire cluster is thrust into a new stage of large-scale growth. This document aims to summarize some of the key insights garnered through experience in San Diego and other clusters in the region and continent in the hopes that they can be widely adopted in center after center too. Summary of experience. In a neighborhood, the initial team of 2 to 3 friends who are imbued with a strong sense of mission are often tutors who begin to animate or teach children's classes alongside a growing number of youth. Initially, This may begin with 1 to 2 youth assisting the tutors with aspects of the junior youth group or children's class as they begin their study of the first books of the main sequence. Although this approach can be carried out in the context of both the children's class and junior youth programs, for the sake of brevity, this document will explore it in the context of a growing junior youth program. From the start, the junior youth group is conceived of in terms of engaging a number of families. For example, if there are 10 junior youth in a group, then this team of animators is thinking about the engagement of 10 families. As the youth begin their study of the main sequence, creative thought is given to how to help them build the capacities of the first books of the Institute in the context of the families of the junior youth in the program. For example, a youth may meet the younger siblings of one of the junior youth and encourage them to memorize and say prayers regularly. Another may help to strengthen the devotional character of the junior youth group meetings. And another may pray with the entire family of a junior youth to help overcome a crisis. In this way, the junior youth group provides an ideal arena, 3, in which the youth can begin to develop capacities for service as they advance through the sequence of courses of the Institute. Experience suggests that, especially at the outset, it is helpful to assist the youth to work within a small context. The junior youth group itself provides a defined context in which youth can act, relieving the youth of the pressure of identifying people with whom to carry out acts of service and coming up with their own plans, which more often than not introduces unnecessary barriers. But for most youth, even the group is too large of a context for them initially. Capacity has been most meaningfully built when youth are encouraged to begin to nurture 1 to 2 junior youth and their families. This may include helping the youth to visit these junior youth regularly to connect the concepts of the texts to their lives, share with the families of the junior youth the vision of the program and the progress of their children, catch the junior youth up on lessons missed, or sit with the junior youth to study one-on-one in the junior youth group meeting. Woven into these conversations are the strengthening capacities of books 1 and 2 especially. Experience suggests that youth have more readily built capacity when they are assisted to take steps according to their capacity and desire. For many youth, these steps may be relatively small, but small steps, if they are regular and rapid, add up to a great distance traveled for. What is important is that they are assisted to continue taking steps according to their pace and reality. The path of service becomes more joyful when the steps that youth are assisted to take are ones in which they can feel successful in their efforts. For example, if they are excited to study a junior youth lesson with a junior youth, pair them with a junior youth who is eager to learn, or if they want to learn about home visits, help them visit a family that is open to receiving visits. Reflecting with them afterwards helps them see God's confirmation in their efforts. As their capacity and vision grows, the youth are able to nurture a growing number of junior youth. It should be noted that although youth may begin by working with a smaller number of junior youth, it is generally easier to help youth build capacity in the context of a junior youth group that is of ample size and is meeting regularly. The experienced animators play a critical role in helping to ensure this. In the nucleus, there is a growing pool of tutors who are striving to ensure that the quality of the Institute is steadily increasing. In the study circles, emphasis is placed on understanding the Word of God, and tutors strive to ensure that a sufficient level of understanding is achieved in each section before moving on. They assist the participants to look back at the quotations to find answers to the exercises or to make connections in their own life. Tutors help participants appreciate that memorization of the Word of God is an essential part of a process of spiritual transformation, and sufficient time is dedicated to it. From the very first unit of the first book, participants in the study circles are assisted to take a step into the arena of service and share with others the insights they are gaining, and this pattern of wedding study to action continues as they move through all of the courses. There is a growing appreciation that the concepts and capacities in all of the books are integral to a life of teaching and service, including serving as effective children's class teachers, animators, and tutors. When the quality of tutoring increases and youth begin to move through the sequence of courses and carry out acts of service in the context of the junior youth and their families, their capacity grows. They are able to work with more junior youth and families, become more committed to the growth process, and can take more steps on their own. They become increasingly adept at inviting their peers into the process and are able to help new youth learn some of the capacities that they have developed. The increase in the quality of the Institute helps to foster a strengthening spirit of mutual support in the neighborhoods. All of us, even the most experienced of friends, are learning what it means to apply Baha'u'llah's teachings in our lives and in the life of society, and we're all learning to implement what is in the Institute. From the outset, youth are seen as important contributors to a collective enterprise, each playing whatever part they are able. As they participate in an Institute process that is effective at building capacity, they are able to take on more aspects of the work. When the youth are viewed in this way, they don't become another line of action that the experienced friends need to tend to. They are valuable collaborators who help the experienced friends shoulder the many responsibilities of tending to the younger generations. The friends never lose sight of the fact that all of our efforts to assist others are an expression of the deep love we feel towards God and others. This brings joy and energy to all those serving together. As new youth enter the Institute, the team of animators swells. Whereas before it may have been 2 tutors animating alongside 2 youth who were entering Book 1, now the team of animators may consist of 2 tutors, 2 youth in Books 3 or 5, and 2 to 3 new youth entering Book 1. As the number of animators grows, and as capacity is built, the team is able to work with a larger number of junior youth, which in turn extends the growth process to more families. Whereas before the smaller team of animators may have been engaging 10 to 15 junior youth and their families, the larger team is now able to tend to some 20 to 30 junior youth. As capacity increases and new youth continue to be invited into the Institute, the team can eventually grow to be able to collectively tend to some 50 to 100 junior youth and their families. With this arrangement, there is less concern over the number of junior youth groups being held, and instead the focus is on how many junior youth the growing team of animators can work with at any given time. The team of tutors who are thinking about the accompaniment of youth are learning to tend to youth in all aspects of their lives. Critical to helping youth sustain their participation on the path of service is an ongoing conversation about coherence. This conversation occurs in many settings, both informal and formal, and draws on the writings, guidance, and the Institute courses. These friends also provide practical support where needed. A formal, weekly conversation with each youth to help them reflect on how they are drawing on the revelation to fulfill their twofold moral purpose has proven to be particularly helpful. In these conversations, youth are assisted to think about their academics, work, service, dynamics of their families, relationships, and other matters in light of the teachings of Baha'u'llah. The experienced friends appreciate that all of the work with youth can be conceived of in terms of helping a growing number of young people to draw closer to Baha'u'llah. Opportunities to speak directly about the person of Baha'u'llah and his call abound in the context of youth camps and study circles, particularly when studying certain books of the Institute, as well as during individual conversations. Tutors are increasingly aware of how the content of the Institute traces a young person's path to Baha'u'llah and sees the opportunity to discuss and deepen their understanding of its central concepts. In this way, Many youth have been assisted to cross the threshold and have come to recognize Baha'u'llah as the manifestation of God for today. When youth are regularly being assisted to reflect on how the revelation is shaping their thoughts, words, and actions in all aspects of their lives, they begin assisting the junior youth in a similar manner. This, in turn, strengthens the convictions of the junior youth and reinforces the growing spirit of mutual support in the neighborhood. As more youth continue to progress through the institute courses, their capacity to engage larger segments of the population in conversations centered around prayer and the Word of God proliferate throughout the neighborhood. They begin to tend to the younger siblings, and an emerging children's class program starts to take shape. Conversations with parents and other members of the family happen in a variety of settings such as home visits, completion of the text gatherings, devotional gatherings, and community gatherings. The youth take a more central role in inviting and nurturing the participation of their peers. In other words, increasingly the growing group of friends is able to think in terms of the movement of the entire population towards Baha'u'llah. In this context, a conversation about transformation permeates the efforts. As more and more people in the neighborhood, children, junior youth, and families alike, reflect on the transformative power of the revelation on their own lives and the life of their community, they increasingly come to see the Institute as a powerful instrument that is theirs and arise to serve in a number of ways, which further extends the reach of the community building process. The capacity to articulate profound spiritual concepts and weave them into conversation is one that is developed over time. However, youth and others can more readily describe the process of transformation they are seeing in their own lives and in those around them. Whereas many youth may initially struggle with describing the totality of the vision of the Institute, they can generally describe their own transformation as a result of participating in it. A conversation around transformation, then, provides more opportunities for people to invite others into the process, not least of which is youth reaching out to their peers. Experience suggests that progress slows when there are not regular plans to engage a new cohort of youth. Each neighborhood may have a different cadence of inviting a new cohort of youth into the process, such as once a cycle, twice a year, or even once a year, according to their capacity and reality. Of course, new youth may enter the process at any time, and the friends stay attuned to these opportunities as they come up, but this should not replace a regular rhythm of youth expansion. Regular Institute camps and Institute nights allow for youth to move through the Institute at a steady pace. In many cases, several emerging centers of intense activity will collaborate with 1 to 2 more established centers of intense activity to offer camps and various spaces for youth. This helps to ensure that the tutors can support each other to tend to the youth and the various neighborhoods can lend mutual support. It also helps the youth to see themselves as part of a vibrant movement. In the heart of the nucleus, then, is a regular, systematic conversation about the transformation of individuals and the community. This conversation happens in a variety of settings, both informal and formal, and expands to include a growing number of people. A conversation at the door with a parent, meaningful conversations at devotional gatherings, one-on-one meetings with a youth, a children's festival, reflection spaces, study circles, community gatherings, etc. all provide a venue in which this conversation takes place. Individuals participate in this ongoing conversation according to their circumstances, capacity, and interests. Naturally, as individuals continue walking the path of service, the scope of their vision expands, and they are able to participate in conversations that encompass a larger part of the population. For example, as a youth first steps onto the path of service, they may be most concerned with 1 or 2 junior youth. as they continue walking their vision, may expand to thinking about all of the junior youth in the group, then all of the young people in the neighborhood, and eventually expand to include the entire population. Although this expanding conversation is occurring in a variety of settings and with different levels of frequency, a small but growing group of friends who are able to consult about the movement of the entire population meet regularly, often weekly, to think about the entirety of the growth process. This group of friends focuses their consultations on the progress of individuals rather than focusing narrowly on activities. They are deeply concerned with capacity building and think about the next step of each individual, particularly youth. These efforts are most effective when they follow closely the path laid out by the Institute and have as their aim drawing youth and others closer to Baha'u'llah. The friends become increasingly adept at reading the reality of the population they are serving and reflecting on the quality of their efforts to effect transformation. Although they take care to think through practical matters, they are careful to not reduce this process of transformation to one of logistics and weekly activities. When all of the elements described above are able to move together in harmony in an environment of mutual support, then the growth process is able to accommodate a growing number of individuals. When these elements are seen in conflict with each other, or tended to separately, or when individuals feel isolated in their service, it tends to dissipate energies and rob the process of its necessary vitality.